Karen's trash got her fined $90,000 in a cleanup. The stench hit me first, a gut punch of rot and decay that made my eyes water. I stepped onto my back porch, coffee mug in hand, expecting the usual calm of my suburban backyard. Instead, I was staring at a landfill where my lawn used to be. It was a Saturday morning in late spring, the kind where the sun should have been glinting off my rose bushes, not illuminating a mountain of garbage. Plastic bags, soggy cardboard, half-eaten takeout containers, and what looked suspiciously like a broken toilet seat were strewn across my yard. My stomach churned as I spotted a leaking oil drum, its black sludge seeping into the grass I'd spent years tending. This wasn't just litter, this was an assault. My name's Emily Harper, a single mom and high school biology teacher, and I just moved to this quiet cul-de-sac in Maplewood to give my daughter, Sophie, a safe place to grow up. Now, my sanctuary was a dump. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and dialed the city's non-emergency line. The operator's voice was calm, but I wasn't. Someone turned my backyard into a garbage heap overnight. I said, trying not to yell, "I need someone here now." They promised to send an inspector, but I couldn't just wait. I pulled on gloves, grabbed a trash bag, and started picking through the mess, hoping to find a clue. That's when I found a crumpled envelope with a name and address, Karen Whitaker, 412 Oak Street, 2 blocks away. Karen, the name rang a bell. She was the woman who'd yelled at the neighborhood kids for riding bikes too close to her pristine lawn, the one who'd called the HOA on Mrs. Chen for her tacky garden gnomes. Karen was the kind of person who made enemies without trying, and now, it seemed, she'd targeted me. But why, I barely knew her, except for one tense exchange at a community picnic when I'd politely asked her to stop letting her dog dig up my flower beds. Her response had been a sneer and a muttered, "Mind your own business." I marched to her house, the envelope clutched like evidence in a courtroom. Her property was immaculate manicured hedges, a gleaming SUV in the driveway, not a leaf out of place. I knocked, and when she opened the door, her perfectly styled blonde hair and fake smile didn't hide the irritation in her eyes. "What do you want, Emily?" she asked, like I was interrupting her morning yoga. "Did you dump trash in my yard?" I held up the envelope, my voice steady but sharp. Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes flicked to the paper and back. "I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe you should check your own messy habits." She started to close the door, but I stuck my foot in the gap. "There's an oil drum leaking into my soil. Karen, my daughter plays out there. Explain this." I waved the envelope, my anger rising. She laughed a cold, dismissive sound. "Sounds like your problem, not mine. Now get off my porch before I call the cops." The door slammed shut, leaving me fuming on her doorstep. Back home, I surveyed the damage again. The oil had spread, killing a patch of my roses. Sophie, my 10-year-old, peeked out from the kitchen, her eyes wide. "Mom, why's our yard so gross?" she asked, her voice small. I hugged her, promising it'd be fixed. But inside, I was boiling. This wasn't just about trash. It was about someone thinking they could ruin my home and walk away. The city inspector arrived that afternoon, a tired-looking man named Carl with a clipboard and a no-nonsense attitude. He took one look at the mess and whistled. "This is illegal dumping. Ma'am, hazardous materials. 2, whoever did this is in deep trouble." I showed him the envelope, and he nodded, jotting down Karen's address. "We'll investigate, but you might want to get a lawyer. This kind of cleanup could cost thousands." Thousands! The word hit like a brick. I was a teacher, not a millionaire. My savings were for Sophie's college fund, not for fixing someone else's mess. But I wasn't about to let Karen win. I called my friend Lena, a paralegal who knew her way around local laws. This is serious," she said after I explained. "That oil drum could contaminate the soil. You've got a case for environmental damage, not to mention trespassing. Let's get her." Over the next week, the tension grew. The city confirmed the trash came from Karen's address. Her utility bills and junk mail were mixed in the pile. I hired a lawyer, a sharp woman named Rachel who specialized in property disputes. She filed a complaint with the city and sent Karen a notice demanding she pay for the cleanup. Karen's response: a letter from her own lawyer, claiming I'd fabricated the evidence to extort her. She even had the nerve to show up at my doorstep, accusing me of framing her. "You're just jealous of my property value," she spat, her face red. "This is a witch hunt." I wanted to scream, but I held it together. "Karen, there's proof. Your name's all over that trash. Just admit it and fix this." She smirked. "Good luck proving anything in court. I've got the best lawyer in town." She stormed off, leaving me with a sinking feeling. What if she got away with it? What if my yard stayed a toxic dump and Sophie couldn't play outside anymore? Then came the twist. While Rachel was digging into Karen's history, she found something unexpected. A neighbor, Mr. Patel, who lived across from Karen. He was a quiet retiree who kept to himself, but he'd installed a security camera after a string of mailbox thefts. I saw everything. He told us over tea in his cozy living room. That night, I couldn't sleep. I looked out my window and saw Karen's pickup truck backing up to your fence. Emily. She and her nephew were unloading trash bags, laughing like it was a game. Mr. Patel's footage was gold. The grainy video showed Karen and a young man tossing bags over my fence, the oil drum rolling off the truck and splitting open on impact. Rachel's eyes lit up when she saw it. "This is open and shut," she said. "She's done." The confrontation came at a city council meeting where Karen had requested a hearing to dismiss my complaint. The room was packed. Neighbors, city officials, even a local reporter sniffing out a story. Karen stood at the podium, her voice dripping with self-righteous indignation. "This is a smear campaign," she declared, gesturing at me. "Emily Harper is trying to ruin my reputation because she's envious of my success. I demand this nonsense be thrown out." I felt my face burn, but Rachel squeezed my hand, whispering, "Wait for it." When it was our turn, Rachel presented the evidence, the envelope, the city's findings, and Mr. Patel's video. The room went silent as the footage played on a projector. Karen's face clearly visible under the streetlight as she heaved trash into my yard. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's lawyer tried to object, claiming the video was tampered with, but the council wasn't buying it. Karen's composure cracked. "This is ridiculous," she shouted, slamming her hand on the table. "That's not me. You're all conspiring against me," but the evidence was undeniable. The council chair, a stern woman named Miss Torres, leaned forward. "Miss Whitaker, you violated multiple city ordinances, including illegal dumping and environmental endangerment. You'll be fined $90,000 to cover cleanup costs and damages, and you're ordered to personally oversee the cleanup under city supervision." The room erupted in murmurs. Karen's face went pale, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. I felt a surge of relief, but also something heavier, pity. Maybe for someone so blinded by entitlement that she thought she could bully her way out of accountability. The cleanup started the next week. Karen, dressed in a city-issued jumpsuit, hauled trash bags under the watchful eye of a city crew. Neighbors gathered, some snapping photos, others shaking their heads. Sophie watched from our porch, holding my hand. "Is she sorry?" "Mom," she asked. "I don't know, sweetie." I said, "But she's learning." The oil drum was removed, the soil tested and treated, and my yard slowly came back to life. The roses were a loss, but I planted new ones with Sophie, turning it into a lesson about resilience. Karen's fine hit her hard. Word spread that she had to sell her SUV to cover it, and her pristine reputation took a bigger hit. The neighborhood didn't let her forget. Whispers followed her at the grocery store, and the HOA, ironically, cited her for conduct unbecoming a resident. But for me, it wasn't about gloating. It was about justice, about protecting my home and my daughter's future. As my yard healed, so did my sense of peace. I'd fought for what was right, and I'd won. But the bigger victory was showing Sophie that standing up to bullies, Even ones like Karen was worth it. I sat on my porch one evening, watching Sophie chase fireflies in the now clean yard, and felt a weight lift. The stench was gone, replaced by the scent of fresh grass and hope. What do you think? Did Karen get what she deserved? Or should there have been another way to resolve this? Share your thoughts.